Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much, Chanel. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We are making watercolor witch cans. So we're just going to learn some basic watercolor technique to make a really spooky decoration that I've used for years, because after we're done, we cut it out and we go get it laminated at our local printing shop, shipping shop. You know the ones. So while everyone is getting settled in, um, this is a live class, so since you're here live, you get to ask questions. So as I go through, drop something in the chat and I may answer it as we go along. But if I don't, I'll get to it at the end and then we can answer any questions that arise. So with that being said, I'm going to go through the materials we need tonight. All right, which hands? We need watercolor paper since we are using watercolor. Watercolor paper is not just like a rip-off thing. It's a lot thicker than normal paper, and it will hold up to the amount of water that it really takes to apply this kind of pigment to paper. It's got this beautiful texture that actually helps you and kind of defines that style. So we love a watercolor paper. I'm pretty sure I linked Strathmore in the class notes, and that's a great brand. It's affordable and does a good job. These are Angora watercolors. I love them. They're really quite pigmented for the price point, and this batch has a ton of colors. But if you have a smaller set of colors, we'll still be color mixing, so we can make whatever color even if you only have 12. I listed a whole set of brushes, but any kind of all-purpose or watercolor brush. I'm using some filberts. I think I have a small round that I listed, but we'll just use a couple various sizes. And then we need just pencil and paper. This is we're going to do a little warm-up. This wasn't listed on the class, so I apologize before. And then Prismacolor. These are my favorite tools. I love them. They're just a really high quality colored pencil. But the pigmentation, they're smooth like butter. Oh my God, they're fabulous. And that's going to get us this fun texture on our witch details, our hand details. And then since we're painting, we need a cup of water to change our color with. Always use a glass that you don't drink from. I just keep reusing the same plastic cup from a to-go spot. And it's just my watercolor cup, because we don't want to just mix our food stuff with our art stuff. So I just keep this in my bin with all my other painting stuff. And then a palette. This one is just a white melamine plate. I love it. If you have one that's flat, that's fine. We're not doing a lot of square footage here, so we don't really have to worry about our water dripping everywhere. And then a little bit of paper towel just to dab any kind of messes, tester brush, all that good stuff. All right, boogie. So these witch hands, I just started with a really quick and loose sketch. So I'm sure we all were doing other things today. So what I like to do before I draw is just warm up. So I take my pencil and I just draw straight lines, and it just gets your brain going. I'm going to teach a full class on my drawing warm up and really get into detail, but I just focus on drawing straight lines till that feels good. Then I like to do a couple perfect circles just to get my brain, my hand connected. That seems great. All right, cool. So now we're just going to rough draw a goofy little hand. I'm going to show you how I drew it, but we're going to do it on printer paper in case you're worried about going straight to our watercolor paper. So these are meant to be beginner, and as you can tell, they're just like the top of our hands, but elongated, little witchier in our distortions. Definitely not perfect proportions, but this is what we want, right? We want that witchy, eerie, not quite right, not quite human, otherworldly quality. So I just quickly drew this while we were loading in, and I'll show you how I did it. And that's just what we're going to do on our paper, and then we're going to paint it. So anyone can totally do this. We're going to grab our hand and we're going to go back to kindergarten and do the a little bit of the turkeys where we traced our hand, if anybody remembers the paper turkeys from kindergarten. I'm just kind of loosely tracing my fingies. I'm not doing the tips, but just to get an idea of general hand shapeage. Cool. So we can see I've got a light outline of the hand there. We hope. Yes, we can see it now. Okay. So quickly, that's already just giving us a jumping off point, right? So now I'm going to kind of fill out a little more, fill out more of a wrist. Decide that I want to elongate everything. So I'm going to go past where my thumb was and kind of create this false thumb now. Make a really big thumb. Make a really big knuckle, really just exaggerating, making everything bigger or more curvy or what have you. These nails are going to be gigantic. I'm going to give a really big knuckle. And I'm going to come back in, right? So we're just kind of using our loose trace as a guide. And then I'm going to decide to just give her crazy nails. You can't type with these nails. I don't think witches type. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Okay. Well, right, we can see we've already starting to get this crazy thumb, and we're just using our hand as a base. So just going off of that. So now I'm going to do my middle finger because I think I want that still to be the longest. This one I made maybe the pointer finger a little longer. These two also have different painting techniques, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, they're different sizes, and that's on purpose. They're just supposed to be fun, quick little crafts. Okay, so I like to kind of find my end point. So now I'm just kind of drawing in the base of our little nails here. And I'm going to do this on our watercolor paper, but if you are a little hesitant, start on printer paper. We're going to go, just for the sake of time, we're going to go right under our watercolor paper, but that's all we're doing. We're starting with the hand turkeys, and if it makes you feel better to start on printer paper, start on scrap paper, go into your recycling bin, take the backside of stuff, do that. I think that's a great idea. But once you feel good and you've got a fun shape, then you're ready to go on to watercolor, fully support it. So we're going to put that aside. We're going to do just what we did. And maybe I'm going to give this witch, this is a scrap of my watercolor, but it's the same as you have. It's a 10 by 14, I believe, or a 9 by 12 I quoted. But I'm just using up scraps I already used from another project. And so you can see more on my screen. Okay. So I'm going to draw darker so y'all can see this, but I recommend really doing kind of baby kisses with your pencil and having a lighter hand, because we're going to go over with our Prismacolor, with our paint. So we actually don't want our pencil to show through underneath, but when y'all do this, baby kisses with the pencil, but I'm going to draw pretty hard just because I want y'all to see what I'm doing and how I change it as we go. And I may actually erase these lines so they don't show up underneath our Prisma, which in generally I recommend not doing, but this is for the sake of showing up. Okay, so we can see we've got this goofy little hand shape, but now we're going to witchify it. Okay. I'm going to just take this and make this wrist maybe too skinny. Give her a big knuckle bone. Pull the wrist out. You can see where my nail is. Yeah, we're going to make this even longer. Put maybe the nail, start here, extend that knuckle. We kind of did this crazy knuckle thing over here, so we're going to do it again. So we're just using this line we made as a trace, as just a loose guideline. And then we're kind of riffing. We're getting that spooky shape. I don't like those knuckle lines. Goodbye. What I'm actually going to do is save that so I can do it in Prisma. Okay, let's get a nice crazy nail. Let's make it a really curly, gross nail. Oh yeah. No dishes, no typing. So now we can start to see, this is getting creepy. This is getting gross. That's what we're here for. So we'll just keep going. Let's see. Insert this nail. Maybe this nail is totally crooked. Maybe her last knuckle is just broken. I'm just kind of putting my nail bits. Okay, so this is definitely a broken fingy. We're making this all sorts of crooked. Just a crazy point. Yick. Perfection. I love these hands. I put them on the fronts of my doors. Once they're laminated, I just put tape. You can see that I used old scrap watercolor, right? This was like a mess up sketch page that I used. I just flipped the back because that is the good thing about watercolor paper. You can't tell what's on the other side. So don't worry if you do your first hand and just absolutely hate it. I hope not, but you might. It's okay. Flip it over, save that paper, right? That's the good thing about using this kind of paper is that you do get that quality. I'm doing really just wonky knuckles, and I am here for it tonight. Make this finger okay. So yeah, we're just kind of tracing our little hand turkeys like in this finger's skinny. Tracing our little hand turkeys kind of like we did in kindergarten with those paper turkeys. And just using that as a base. Because hands are really intimidating. If we were drawing photorealistic hands, we'd really get into it. But I think this is also a really good gateway into drawing hands. Hands indeed are like notorious for being something that's really difficult to draw. So I really want to do this craft as well because I think it's a great beginner way to start. Just dip your toe or dip your finger maybe into drawing something that is notoriously difficult, but when we do something that's a little mystical and supposed to be silly and funny, I think it helps break down that intimidation barrier. Right. Okay. So we're gonna add more of these details like the veins and the knuckles and maybe some warts. Gross, love it. Once we fill in our paint and at the end, but we definitely got our creepy witch hand shape. So we are ready to paint. And again, I am doing this thick so we can see this on camera, but I really recommend doing this with quite a light touch. Just because as you're painting, it still gives you room to change because you're not really done until we do the Prisma after and then we cut it out. Watercolor palette. I'm trying to do this so y'all can see everything at the same time. Stuff here. Put my palette up above. My hands. Get my towel. Get your water. Also, make sure you keep your drinking water and your painting water on the other side of yourself, or you may accidentally dunk your paintbrush into your painting water. Something I have definitely done before. Okay, so I'm just dipping. I've got a filbert. It's about an 8 size filbert. You can use anything. You can use a flat, because right now we're just going to fill with color. So we're just going to do our bottom layer. So this one is more when we're painting with less water and it's more of an opaque, thick paint. And this one is a lot more layered down water, but we're still just going to mix these colors. And I'll show off to the side kind of what that looks like, the difference. But anyway, you can use a flat, you can use a filbert, whatever you like, because we're just going to do our first layer and really just fill this hand with a creepy color. So I feel like this filbert feels good. Okay, let's make sure you can see my palette here. we've got this like oogie boogie nasty green. Let's lay it down and make an olive first to start. That seems right. So getting a pretty wet brush, I'm gonna grab some of this green, like a Kermit the Frog situation. You probably see it better on my palette, right? Okay. Pretty green. And I'm just grabbing it with a wet brush and I'm putting it on my palette with water. Okay, that looks good. Clean my brush a little bit. I'm gonna go into this tan, put some on my palette, and then start mixing. And now we're getting into the Mutant Ninja Turtle slime situation, which is kind of where we want to be. So this is pretty translucent. Gonna kind of look more like this. And I always, when I'm starting something new with a new brush, I will take a piece of scrap just so you can stay in frame. I'm gonna do it over here and just see what that looks like. Yep, it's pretty translucent, but it's about the color I want. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make a little more of it so I can lay it all down and I don't have to worry about remixing. So I'm just gonna, oops, clean my brush again. Grab more of that green, put it over here. Grab more of that tan. Right, and so we're muddying these colors and that gives us this pretty swamp olive. And now I'm mixing it together. Okay, so now we've got about enough to really cover this hand. All right, let's go. So not being precious, just filling in this color. On the edges. I'm gonna go on like the right side because I think we're just gonna have enough to do this little like right side shadow, and I'm gonna have to pull more. I forgot I'm using a different brand of paper than Strathmore, and it does like to eat some paint. We started just laying it down, and so that's what we're doing with watercolor. We're layering and we're layering, and this is great because it's going to give us time to let that dry. I'm going to pretend our light source is coming from this way. So like pretend we have a spotlight. This is the sun. We're going to have our little shadows kind of cast this way. So we'll oh, I wish I had another light to show that. But anyway, kind of like how my hand is right now, coming from the right. So we're going to just use that as a bench. I kind of like to just mask in shadows anyway, and then we'll keep filling. That doesn't make any sense. Just keep watching. Right, let's get some more of that color. We're making green. Your palette, what you may be using may have an olive. That's great. But if you want it to be a little brighter, if you want it to be a little muggier, grab some green or grab some brown. You know, that's the great thing about painting is that you can make any color in the world. You just have to learn how to mix that. And that's what playing is. All right, I'm going to add more water to this so it thins out. My puppy drinks his water. Okay. We've got a lot. We're probably going to have to mix more. That's fine. More water. All right, we've got a very translucent wash, but that's perfect because we're just doing our first layer here. Right. Let's go back in and just click. Click like funny. I'm doing on time. Going in the motion of like the veins and the blood, and then getting a little more shorter with my brush strokes as we get into the knuckles and the fingies. But I'm not being precious, right? This is quick. This is, you know, almost expressive. We're just basically ate up most of my paint. but I've got like a great wash and a base to really start getting more detail on. Another great reason to be light with your pencil, unless you do it on purpose like I did, you will pull some of that lead into your painting. But I was blending it on purpose, hold on, because that helps pull more shadow, right? So now we're getting even more of a dark, basically for free. We're just pulling in that pigment that's already here from the pencil. Back in the day when paint really cost a lot of money, you had to be able to stretch every kind of pigmentation every which way. Yeah, okay, fun. Let's layer up. So we've got this guy. This one's really bright. I think let's do more of a layered effect because then we can show we're doing the same thing, but this hand, we're just using less water. Just an example. You know what? So let's just finish this off. Okay, now I'm thinking, let's get a little rust going. No, it's good. I'm just going to kind of use the same area because I really cleaned out most of the pigmentation and we're building it all on the same hand, so I'm not using something different that doesn't have any of that left over. So I'm grabbing this kind of, it looks like ochre in the pan, but it's not. It's really kind of a bright yellow. I'm going to say, okay, that's brighter than I wanted. Let's tone it down, get some of this brown. Interesting mustard situation. It looks pretty gross, might be good for skin. I could have grabbed this color that actually looks like ochre all along. But we, you know, by mixing these two, this is different, right? This is more yellow, this is actually more warm, more orange. So that's what we mix colors, we mess around, we see. But I'm gonna blend these together. Kind of just fill in this mid-range. Go back over our shadows a little bit. I'm also gonna go the top parts of this hand that we haven't really touched yet. And I'm still using a big filbert because we're just covering a pretty big surface. Going in the direction the veins go, where the blood goes. Almost dry brushing at this point because we're out of pigment. We're really just spreading what we have left. We know how easy it is to mix more. No big deal. Go get more of that yellow tan situation. Grab some water. Oh yeah, that's bright. That is bold. Water, clean it out. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, this is the style we're doing for this hand, really washed out. So instead of just mixing that color, you'd add in less water and you get it more opaque like that other hand. And that's just something depending on, you know, the effect you want. Tan. Said I wanted rust, but I like this yellow tan. But we are going to add some kind of like rust colored grossness. So we're just layering the colors. fall. A little more opaque olive, and then we'll do some like weird, gross rust details. And then we'll finish off our nails. And we can do another one if we have time. Let's make a rust. Let's start with this orange. Just turn my palette. Yep. That was not that bright orange. It's still a little muddy from my brush. One more brown. Dark. Test it. What's it looking like? Looks like something you don't want on your hands. Perfect. So I'm going to start edging out this side. This rusty color. Give just a little more dimension to the side. Rusty. Right, these ones are super stylized. We're not going for realism. We're just kind of looking at these cues. I'm kind of just marking where I'll eventually put my little knuckle patches. So when we do put the pencil down, it's kind of already got some depth. Oh yeah, they're two looking creepy. Looking creepy. So if I wanted these to be like sharper little lines, I could use a smaller brush, but I'm just having fun using this filbert. You can use a smaller, a round, a flat, really anything. But if we wanted to be sharper or brighter, all we do is just mix this color. Brush off here. Orange. Brown. Mix it together, but we're not really adding much water, so it's a lot more pigmented than it was. Maybe a lot more. Do the same thing. There we go. Look at that pigmentation, right? And that's just choosing. Like, do you want these knuckles to be a big focal point, considered everything else here is really more translucent? That's up to you. I think for this, we're just going to keep it where the pencil is the most contrasting thing here. But again, so we're just doing the same color mixing. The only difference between getting this and this, because we mix the colors the same, is how much water we're adding. And that's the great thing about watercolor. You know, you really have so much control about the not only the exact color you get, but the way to get translucency. Whereas if you're doing something like acrylic, oof, good luck. You know, that's a whole different scenario. And right now that's dry. I'm kind of painting on it. I really got to pull to get that pigment up. And that's really fun to try. That's why I like having a little side. Since we're cutting this hand out, I'm using the same piece of paper. But I normally get scraps or do the backs of things I've already just been messing around on. That's just playing around. Just playing around. We're just here for the spooks, y'all. Okay. Let's get a little more rust situation. Had to let the puppy out. So I just remixed a little more of that rusty. I was like, a little more. It's gross. I like it. This is kind of already telling me where I'm going to draw my knuckles. I already drew this little wrist bump here, so I'm just giving a little more love, a little more shadow. And then I think I'm going to go back and add a more opaque olive. And then we can start going in with our pencil. Okay, let's say you have an olive like this, or your only green is something really bright. Look at that, that's bright. We used this one previously. That's fine. You can still get olive. We're just gonna use a brown. And we'll get there. You can see that's cool because I picked, this is a cool green, this is a cool brown. But I can still get there if I pick something warm like this ochre. Look at that warm up. Okay, and you see it brushed out. Still too green. Ochre. There we go. That's looking swampy. Oh yeah, that's gross. That's perfect. Love that. So we're going to use that color. So you can get there. Again, it's just understanding how to mix. So even if you only have a palette of 12, you can make all of these colors. If you didn't have this bright yellow, you could get there with by mixing your orange and your yellow if you only have like the really bright colors. And then you'd have the brown, and you just have to keep, you know, dulling it down with your brown. You can still get swamp witch green. Maybe you're like, oh no, that's too harsh. I don't like it. It's okay. Well, it's still kind of wet. You can really like, I just dab my pencil in this water, and I'm kind of pulling that pigment away. So I'm blending it just with the water. It's on my brush. So now it's got a spread. If you will dab too much water in the paper, you can come back and dab it with paper towel. Just be mindful that it will also pull up some pigment, maybe like under the layers that you'd already made that you're like, oh, I just wanted that layer to come off, not that. But in case you, also if you spill water on your piece, which happens, it happens, you can dab it a lot of with paper towel. It may not be lost, and let it out to dry. You can save it. It'll dry out crinkly if it really gets wet, but then you just place it under a book, a couple books for a while, and it should be fine. You then, even if it's still not perfectly flat after a couple days under a book, you can take a iron on low setting, no steam, sandwich it between towels and steam it flat. But you have to be really careful, or not steam it, don't steam it, iron it back to flat. But that's kind of last resort. And put something in between your towel and your piece because some of the pigment may pull up, but that's worst case, you know. Okay. Let's see. What crazy way do we make this all? We use this bright, crazy green. Because I want to pull this darkness into this thumb, finish this edge, and then I'm going to put a little more onto the top of the palm. Okay, so how do we make this green? We took the crazy green, this dark brown, this full brown. Just grab. Ew, sorry, I gotta clean out my orange. I hate doing that. You'll see me keep going back to my water so I don't do what I'm doing now, which is being gross and getting my other colors in my color. Clean this brush, try and scoop some of that pigment out there so I don't get it in the pot. About that one. Because I cleaned out that orange, now this olive is a little too green for my taste, or excuse me, a little too warm, so I'm going to go back and actually grab some of the green. Let's see what it looks like next to this one. Pretty good. It's a little more vibrant, but I'm actually not mad at it. We don't have a lot either. So, let's decide to need more swampage. You can really have fun doing this, right? Like this one probably needs a little more clean, so just more. Gotta be shadow. More swamp, more witch. The slime, we love it. Yeah. I'm feeling good about this level of dimension. So now we're going to make sure this is dry. Most of this is pretty dry. By the time we go ahead and wash our brush, so if I were not teaching a class right now, I would go to my sink and always point the bristles down, run your brush under cold water in your sink, and take a little bit of dish soap and just rub your brushes, and then I swirl the dish soap in my palm, and then I give it a nice rinse. I kind of squeegee the bristles down to get all that soap, get all that gunk, give it more rinsing, and then take a paper towel, dab, 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 and let it dry with the bristles facing down. We don't want it to dry facing up because the paint will get inside our little crimp here. It's harder to sell. That'll ruin your brush quick with acrylic, but it'll do so over time with watercolor as well. But we always wash our brushes before we put them away so they don't haunt you. So while you're doing that, it should be pretty dry because we're not using too much water. But you can honestly just take the back of your finger and test. Pretty dry. I can tell this finger's still wet. That was one of the last ones we did. I can just see it. It may be hard to tell, oops, over camera, but you can kind of see right here, the texture of the paper is different. It's reflecting light differently, so I can tell that that's still a bit wet. So we'll touch that last. So let's get our swamp water out of the way. You'll have a palette that's dirty, probably looks even more colorful than this, who knows. Just go ahead and take a wet paper towel, get most of the paint out, and you can throw it away. And then just the less paint in our water systems, the better. And then you can take a little bit of dish soap, probably just scrub with your fingers, honestly, with watercolor. It's fine for fingers, and it doesn't really gonna stick to your plate too much. There's very little here. Then you give it a wash, give it a rinse in cold water, then you just paper towel it dry, and then chuck that, and it'll be good to go. All of this could have been done with a smaller filbert, a flat. I could have used a little round for my knuckle details if I cared to. It's up to you. Have fun. The pack I recommended in this class had a great range of shapes, and I think it's great to just try, especially as you're beginning to see like what you like to do, because you can skin a cat a million ways. That's the beautiful part about making stuff. So figure out what you like. All right. Witch hands. I'm going to fill in these nails first because we know they're dry, and then we'll get to the fun knuckles and the warts and what have you. This is just a pencil, and all I'm going to do, let's just fill in. We'll do this first, actually. We'll fill first and then we'll outline. How textured this looks may depend on your paper. This was a less textured paper, so you can really see my lines. This is extremely textured, so you can really see this. You really don't see the direction of my pencil at all. And if you wanted to fill it in more, I would go the other way, and then it'll start to fill in this. These pieces that didn't get pigment. You can just go ahead and do this as many times as you like. Make as many hands as you want. I like to put these on doors. I think it's really fun. I always have a Halloween party every year, and I think it's great wayfinding for people to be like, oh, where's the bathroom? Where's whatever? And you can just be like, oh, it's the door with the witch hands. Really clear way for people to know where to go or not to go. You can have these, once you get them laminated, you can really put them anywhere. And I just went to a office supply shipping company and had them just handed my cutout hands to the nice worker, and they chuckled and thought they were cool. And then I got them laminated. I came home and just cut them out, and I've had them for years. I think it was a nominal few dollars to go ahead and do this because it was an 8.5 by 11 when they laminated it. We've got these crazy nails. Let's go ahead and outline this. I'm going to switch my pencil so I've got more of the sharper edge. I was using this flat. And just do no. No, come on. You, of course, can change the color of the hands, of your nails, what have you, but the principle of just picking your base color and kind of doing a really rudimentary bit of layering to give some dimensions and interest carries on. So if you want to do like the devil's hands, I would maybe start with opening your palette, the hardest part of all. Here we go. We'll probably do a wash of a light red, or making a light red with red and white if you don't have that, and then layering to get more of a dark crimson, pulling in the browns and the reds to really start getting more of a blood situation, maybe tinging it with some blue to get more of that coolness, and just starting to keep layering that. That could be cool. you of course can watercolor in your nails. Just make sure, I would go ahead and do the hand like we did, let that dry, and then do your nails last, just so you don't have anything bleeding, especially if you're doing a really contrasting color and you don't want them to bleed. Just make sure they're dry. And then I would be careful, yeah, make sure you're dry, and then just be kind of precious when you are doing your nails to really like keep those edges and pull your water away instead of having it painting toward the stuff you don't want it to bleed to. These fingers look crazy, and that's the point. Right, that's still a little wet, so I can tell, but that's okay. Go back over. But you know, these are not photorealistic. These are just super fun, crazy witch hands. The wrinkles, the knuckle, you know, nothing is really accurate about this hand, but you still read it as a hand. And that's the fun. So once you feel happy about your witch creation, go ahead and make sure it's dry. And then just take a normal pair of scissors and cut it out. And so I cut pretty close to my outlines. That kind of is another good reason to outline it. You don't have to, but it just gives you a nice guide. And that's it. I literally then just took my 2 cutout hands, went to my local print store, was like, please laminate these. It was great. And now I've had them for years and years. And it's just so much fun. These are great to make at a little party, like have your friends over and do crazy witch hands. You know, everyone works so hard. It's just, I feel like it's important to just do things with our hands and having fun doing spooky things. And hopefully you learned a little bit of basic watercolor. Okay, so I would love to answer questions and then talk more about spooky stuff.
Okay, so we have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Can you use a sketching pad paper instead of the watercolor paper?
Yeah, well, is it called like a sketching pad paper? Like, is it by Strathmore Sketch? Or is it like really just like your printer paper? Because if it's printer paper, it is gonna ripple like nobody's business and it won't be able to handle it. Sketching pad paper, if it's like by a Strathmore or an Arches, then it may be able to handle it and not pucker. But what I would do is try it, but just literally take your brushes, and I would do it something, you know, how we did this really like translucent. I would do it in a thicker style, you know, a more opaque style. Because yeah, your paper is gonna ripple. Like even this is puckering a little bit and it'll flatten out. And this is high quality watercolor paper. It's just the nature of the beast. So yeah, but try it. It's hard to say without seeing the exact paper, but that is why we watercolor paper. Yeah, it's not just marketing. It's part of our toolkit, since the stuff, you saw how much water we used. And also the thing with doing the opaque style, you do eat up a lot of paint faster, right? Because you're dipping into these palettes more and using the water less. So that is something to be mindful of. This hand ate more paint than this one or this one. So yes, test it out.
All right. Do you have any tips for using watercolor pens instead of like watercolor cakes?
Watercolor pens instead of watercolor cakes. It is a little bit of a different animal, but the same, I would still use a palette if you need to color mix. That's the thing. You can still use the same principles, but I honestly prefer the cakes. I like using the pens as details. So if you didn't want to do a Prisma after all your stuff after all your stuff dried, I would go ahead and, do your pens, but you don't get really a breadth of, I can use this brush to do this wash. I can use this one, you get a lot of options. But all that being said, test on your palette still, mix them together. And then you can even pull the paint that you mix from your two pens, take a brush and dip that color together. Yeah, let them dry and definitely use a watercolor paper with those. Also, they do run out of ink, but I do love and use the watercolor pencils. Those are pretty good value, and they are pencils, kind of like a Prisma, but you can wet it and then blend it out. So that's something also I've used for work, where you do this detail, and then if I want to go in and pull some of that pigment away, I can still have a line. So that's a fun tool to play with. But again, you can also do that with watercolor cakes.
All right. And the last question is, how do you safely clean the water cup once you're done with it?
Oh, use something, like a plastic POS you can just use again. But same thing, just dump the water, little dish soap, rinsey, dry with paper towel, good to go. But I would not use a drinking glass for it. It's just, keep your art stuff and your food stuff separate, and just don't have any worries. But natural dish soap is my go-to. Whatever dish soap you have is fine.
And that's it for questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I hope this was helpful. I hope you had fun. I hope you are inspired to make spooky creatures and have so much fun. And just explore. That's the whole thing with creating stuff. It's a lot of playing, it's a lot of figuring out, and that's the good part. I am doing Halloween classes all of Halloween, so I have 4 more spooky classes coming up. We have a lot of painting with acrylic, so I teach a lot of tips and tricks, and then some of it I'm doing typography. Actually, one I have right here. That's going to be super fun. It's a trick-or-treat sign. And we're going to do, we're doing Sharpie pens, we're doing acrylic, we're typography, we're doing lots of fun stuff. And I'll teach acrylic painting basics with that, and then a couple other items. And that's going to be great. And I'm also participating in the 12 days of card making. So I have a holiday card too on November 6th, which is going to be really fun. So please sign up for that. We're doing more watercolor. So it's a mixed media holiday card. It's a melting snowman, and we're doing cut paper and cutout stuff, and it's 3D. So we're going to make 3D paper springs, and then we glue our little watercolor onto, and so when you open the card, it boings open, and it's really fun. So more watercolor stuff there. So please attend. And I really hope that this was helpful. People learned. And yes, please follow me on the Instagrams if that's something you do. I'm at Probably Sketch. I'll be posting more classes, more silly content coming forward in this fall. And yeah, really appreciate everyone being here. Share internet things if you enjoyed it. And this class will be on YouTube the next day. So thanks so much. Hope this was helpful. And that's all I got for you.